So how do you stream?
We're live on YouTube, 24 hours. So we're also live on Facebook. Sometimes we just cut out the particular interview and sometimes also use for news. So that's how it's.
Looks really high tech.
It is like that.
How long have you been on?
We started July 1st this year. Yes. But this station has been on, not on TV, but basically on only production, TV productions and production of programs.
So you went live.
Went live. You didn't?
So how many commissioners listen?
7. So,
Welcome back. This is the signature morning on Signature Television. We'll be moving ahead to a very interesting, discussion this morning. We'll be talking about building a tomorrow. The impact of smart green schools on Enugu State education. We have our important guest in the studio right now, Professor Ndubueze Mbah, Commissioner of Education, Enugu, Nigeria. We also have him as Red Institute Fellow, ACLS Fellow, Professor African Gender Atlantic History, Sonny Buffalo. And of course, he's an actor, Emergent Masculinities University at Buffalo. Good morning, Professor, and welcome.
Good morning.
You don't mind if I call you Professor instead?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so
you
we're
can
talking.
also call me Ndubueze.
Okay, all right, you're welcome. So we're talking about green smart schools. What are smart green schools? What are smart green schools to start with?
So the Enugu Smart Green Schools, they're unique. They are the only smart green schools. They are pioneer smart green schools in Africa. They are a product of the vision of our governor, the governor of Enugu State, Barrister Peter Mbah. There has been ideas about smart schools percolating in Africa, in Nigeria. We know that the Nigerian government had a smart school project across the country. So the idea of smart school generally, as people think about it, is that you have a reliance on technologies, modern technologies, to improve teaching and learning and prepare with 21st century skills, inculcating them digital literacy and competency. So that is a generic idea of smart school. But the Enugu Smart Green Schools are much more than that. They are part of a huge strategy to turn around the human capital of Enugu people to achieve in 4 to 8 years what it might take a generation to ordinarily achieve. I know I'm starting this way because the Smart Grade School is about, for the one in Enugu, is focused on experiential learning. Now, experiential learning is about changing the way that teaching is done by teachers and changing the way that learning is achieved by students. It's about moving from traditional lecture pedagogy and rote learning to a practice-based learning system. Now, in that, so you learn through experience, through practice. And as a teacher, you design projects so that your children can learn through practice. So that's a basic principle, right? Now, technology, of course, is part of that, right? Technology becomes part of that. You want your children not to draw a computer, but to actually use computers every day to learn. You want your teachers not to explain computer to children, but to use it to teach them. And not just using those computers to develop the tactile skills and motor skills of using a keyboard, but they become a window into a world of knowledge that from Enugu, our children can connect to learning resources around the world. They can access Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, but they can connect with peers. They can drop into classrooms in sister colleges and schools. They can have a professor of mechatronics, a basic teacher of robotics, drop into their classroom and engage them. They can work in the tomorrow is the innovation studio on coding, on using Arduino kits to build lift gates and smart home models. And they do that with their teachers. They can go into our lab, science lab, where you have a biology, chemistry, physics lab, and they can work on projects and build things. They can go to the smart farm and observe photosynthesis. They can take different seedlings, combine them to produce new species and watch it over time. They can have a smart farm that they have helped to set up, and right now in Owo, for example, they have 60 crates of eggs from their farm that supplements their school feeding program. They can look at a situation where they have drilled a borehole, the state government has drilled a borehole, but they're not getting enough water. And so they go to their library and they research water solutions. And they identify a Canadian-based firm, write them a proposal, and the firm actually comes from Canada to Owo, test the water sample that the students have sent from Owo to New York and to Canada. And because of that, come to Owo and work with the students to come up with a water purification solution for the school. And now the children use that water purification solution as in every day. That's how they get their filtered water. So experiential learning, I know I started with real examples of what we're actually doing. So it's not like theory or hypothesis. We've done this for a year, and our children are doing this, our teachers are doing this. So experiential learning is designing a system of teaching, a system of education that empowers our children to become problem solvers, to start seeing themselves as solutions to community problems, to societal problems, and enabling them with the skill to be that solution, and helping them to understand that the problems they're solving are not just unique to their own environment. They're part of global problems that are tied to the Sustainable Development Goals. So they're not learning the SDGs as theory, they're learning it by understanding how their own unique problems are part of a global problem. When they are solving a water problem, they know that it's part of sustainable environments, which is an SDG goal.
Well, interesting. I mean, this particular smart green schools can only come from one place: smart government. But there are issues. There are issues. I tell you what, I have seen videos and pictures of the school in Owo.
Yeah.
I understand that this is going to be a 260 smart green schools across the 260 wards of Enugu State.
Yeah.
Some of them are still under construction.
Yeah.
How long would it take to construct others? Because it's not those students in Owo that deserves to be smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so is there a time lag as to establishment of all of this institution in these localities?
Yeah.
And another thing, because of how you have explained this, it seems to me that's going to be quite expensive to enroll in that kind of school.
Okay.
So is there a way of subsidizing that? And beyond that, you have smart green schools. How about the teachers?
So those are three questions. Let me take those, don't add more, so I don't forget them. Let me start with the middle question because it's the quickest response. And I want to look to camera. Where's camera? Because I want people to see this. This is very important. The Enugu Smart Green Schools are 100% free. You asked about subsidy.
Yeah.
Subsidy. No. The Enugu Smart Green Schools are 100% free.
For all the kids
For
in that
all
particular ward.
children in Enugu State. Because the children, we have a smart school built in every ward. We have 260 wards spread across 17 local government areas. So every ward, which is the smallest political unit in the state, every ward has a smart school. And every smart school accommodates 840 children in that ward. From nursery 1 to nursery 3, primary 1 to primary 6, and just 1 to just 3. Now, Enugu State therefore is offering 12 years of free universal basic education. When I say free, I mean free. No tuition fee. No, the state government provides their uniforms, provides all their textbooks. The smart school is equipped with solar. They have power. It's equipped with internet. It's equipped with 21 interactive smart boards in 21 classrooms. It's equipped with 84 all-in-one computer systems. 40 that make up the digital library, 40 that make up the ICT, and 4 that are these 2 in the innovation studio, 1 in admin, and 1 in the school clinic. So I mention these things because we have 840 children in each smart school, because nursery 1 has 40 children, nursery 2 40, nursery 3 40, that's 120. Primary 1 to 6, that's basic 1 to 6, has A and B, each one 40. Just 1 to 3, that's basic 7 to 9, has A and B, each classroom 40. So you have 840 children. And every smart school has 40 smart teachers. 4 English language, 4 mathematics, 5 basic technology, 3 basic science. It goes like that, all the way to health and physical education. Across the 14 basic education subjects of the Nigerian basic education curriculum.
Have they been trained?
They are smart teachers because they have been trained, not just in digital literacy, but in experiential learning. And that is what distinguishes the Enugu Smart Green Schools, experiential learning. It is a pedagogy that is being used innovatively in mostly American universities. It is imagine like a high-top internship program where you prepare undergraduates, university undergraduates with skills that now make them desirable by industries. Industries now target them and say, come to us because of their skills. And they have micro-credentials for those skill areas that they have accomplished. And they have, in those micro-credentials, projects that they have accomplished as proof of concept, as proof of competency. And those are digital badges that if you scan the QR code, their project comes up. If you click on it, their project comes up, and it's tied to competencies across the globe. So that model is what Enugu State has introduced to their basic education. Now the question is, what kind of governor thinks up, imagines the future of the children of his state and says that I want to take this type of upskilling and introduce it in foundational learning. We're not just talking about foundational numeracy and literacy. We are preparing Enugu children for the 4th Industrial Revolution. By year 2050, 60% of global youth will be in Africa. Almost 50% of that youth are Nigerians. The question is, how do you prepare African youth? How do you prepare Nigerian youth for an Afro future of the 4th Industrial Revolution? And the governor is saying, I want Enugu State children to be at the forefront. And that is why we have to invest in them through what he calls disruptive innovation. At the time when people are thinking about fixing it, leaking roofs and furnishing old, he's saying no. That model of 3 classroom blocks, poorly built, is not the environment. It's not the safe, conducive environment for imparting 21st century and 4th Industrial Revolution education to children. You need to build a smart school, one that can accommodate all the resources to deliver revolutionary basic education. That by the time a child finishes the Enugu Smart Green School and writes his basic education competition examination, that child can do a startup.
Okay.
That child can go to technical and vocational schools and develop a vocation. They can now go to senior secondary schools and prepare for a professional study at a university. But they will know exactly what their competencies are. And they will be productive members of society.
So how do you mobilize them? How do what qualify to participate in all of those? How are they going to qualify to participate in this?
As teachers.
As teachers and as students, how do you get them?
So every child of school age in every ward is automatically qualified to be in the smart school.
Is
Whether
it
you're
form of
indigene or not.
registration?
It's for Enugu State, citizens.
Citizens, okay.
But what we've also witnessed is that over time, Enugu is Nigeria's education tourism destination. It didn't start today. Whether you live in Lagos, Abuja, or Kano, Nigeria sends their children to Enugu State to be educated. It didn't start now, and that will continue. So we know eventually the demand will be so high that we'll have to build more smart schools. It is a no-brainer. It's going to happen, right? The smart school requires smart teachers. That's one of the questions you asked. We've had to not only invest in upskilling our current policy teachers, but also opening up an opportunity for new forms of teachers, new kinds of teachers. People who, mechatronics, robotics, these are not part of the grade. So we've had to create them and be ready, move beyond the limits of national curriculum, so we have to now identify teachers, trained in these new emerging knowledge areas, and bring them into the smart school.
So I'm also concerned about other teachers who are teaching in that sphere. I understand that you're not going to move away or chase away those teachers who also teach in those other schools in the world, because that's the government schools.
Yeah.
Are you removing funding from those schools?
So what we're doing, is that because the smart schools are the new public schools. They are the new government schools.
Okay.
They are replacing.
They're replacing the
ones. The old
ones.
Primary schools that are dilapidated, that are
Okay.
old. So the Enugu need to understand, especially in the Enugu, the world can listen, but the Enugu need to understand that the smart schools are the new government public schools.
Okay. Okay, so but then the teachers
who are not smart, we are now training the teachers.
Okay, training the teachers.
Preparing them for their CBT assessment.
Okay.
So October and November, we're going to be training existing 18,700 Enugu public school teachers in digital literacy. Why we're investing in digital literacy for them is that we want them to be able to take the CBT, the computer-based test. Because with the pilot we did and the first phase of our recruitment, 26,000 candidates applied. 17,000 plus wrote the CBT.
Okay.
Only 4,253 passed. That is 84% failure and 16% pass. That told us a lot of things. There was a marginal percentage of teachers who we observed understood. If we had administered the exam, pen and paper, they could have passed. But because it was CBT, many of them grabbed their mouse and they were moving it in the air. They couldn't even click through the assessment. This is true. I'm not saying it to shame anybody, but to acknowledge that the state government has a huge responsibility. The job, the task is an uphill one. Because on average, 80% of teachers in Nigeria have not received any professional development over the past 16 years. And our teachers do not have in Nigeria generally, the primary and secondary school teachers do not have a culture of personal investment in professional development, as you will find maybe in tertiary institutions, where a lecturer knows, I have to attend professional conferences, I have to publish papers, I have to invest in myself, I have to, continue to pursue, So that incentive system for investment in personal professional development is not part of the cultural landscape of public pre-tertiary education in Nigeria. That's a fact. NUT will tell you this.
The Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria will tell you this. Right? So what we're trying to do now is to build a new culture of teacher professionalization.
So if teachers are not, adapting to the system, what happens to them?
They are very open to the system. As you can imagine, people are scared when you introduce something new. Even when we introduce, digital teaching pedagogies in tertiary institutions, I have distinguished professors, not just in Nigeria, even in my university at the State University of New York. As a professor, we are very resistant to
New things.
I've been teaching this for right? Why are you making me switch from Moodle to Brightspace? This is annoying, right? I thought, so people are not always, they don't warm up easily. But then the new thing, once they get used to it, is better than the old one, because an improvement. So we are also providing incentives to teachers. The package for smart school teachers is quite attractive. Apart from the new minimum wage, every smart school teacher is provided free housing in proximity to the smart school.
Okay.
So they have an apartment that's self-run, that is furnished, that has free running water, free solar, and free internet.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just wondering before you continue, how
So I was going to ask you whether you want to apply.
how can I apply? How do you know the question? How do I apply?
So we're going to, I don't know if the studio is ready to lose you. So we've just completed our first phase of recruitment, and so now we're going to start. First, we wanted to start just training the 4,000, but based on what we saw from that assessment, we are driven by data. When we came in, first thing we did in November, we did a baseline assessment of numeracy and literacy across Enugu State. And the one we saw was shocking. 50% of children in Enugu State who complete primary school could not read with comprehension.
Who complete primary school?
Yes, could not read with comprehension.
Wow.
Yes, it is shocking. Primary 6 students could not solve primary 4 level simple subtraction problem. That means they're 2 grades behind. The same thing in reading and writing. So that was when we saw that data, and we contracted an independent firm that have done it in other states and countries. Come and do it so that in fact, we refused to at first accept. But we couldn't. It's just a fact. So we now, as a state government, the state governor said, okay, we have to confront this head on. Not just, the smart school is not about the building. The building looks pretty. It's not about the building. It's what happens inside. And then he said, okay, we're going to build a pilot and pilot it for 1 year. Experiment solutions there. Document the process and the outcomes. And then work on scaling the solutions across. And that's what Owo has been an experiment for a year.
Okay, just in Owo.
Owo was our experiment for 1 year. And he could not believe 4 primary